of stuff to say about AI PCs, which are less PCs. They said that
individual pilot PCs does it make a difference here?
no, not overall, but PCs that have NPUs, right? So 15% of total notebook sales were AI PCs in the quarter. They expect AI PCs to be over half of all of their shipments by late this year. Wow. And over 80% by 2027. So they
I'll never use the cloud. You can't trust the cloud. The cloud's not the, you know.
No, not at all.
No, I'm not. Heck
No, my deal is I keep using that stuff, but I want that to be secondary. I want my primary. I don't want to call it source of truth. What's the right term? I can't use master or anything anymore, but whatever that word is,
my main.
or main bathroom, where, you know, kind of same as mine.
Lisa and I had that conversation the other day. She says, you know, you can't call it the master bedroom anymore.
Right.
I said, where am I supposed to sleep? It's not the master bedroom.
Like, but I'm wearing robes. I don't understand. Where will they lower me into the honeymoon?
So then, after I did it, I thought, oh, crap, and Anthony's telling me this too. I should have bought an AI NUC, like something with more AI capability, because then I could have my home AI server. And actually, that's why this Ryzen framework.
Or you could use a external GPU, by the way, which is probably working okay, right?
Yeah, this is an Intel Core Ultra 5 on this thing.
Yeah. So
Like a lot of RAM, but in hindsight, maybe I should have bought something like.
I think you're early on. Yeah, we're a little early on the curve for that stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's too early. In a couple of years, I feel like and I know Richard will have a home AI server.
Right.
Yeah. You probably already do, Richard.
Now, if I can get around to actually bothering to configure it, but that Snapdragon is going to end up being where it is.
I don't think. You know, it's funny. There is a on your iPad, my M4, my iPad Pro that is runs Llama locally, and it runs it quite readily.
That's great. That's fun.
So with the increasing
I went
number
with
of
the 64
source
gig
AIs,
iPad, so I can't
well, with an increasing number of open source AIs and an increasing hardware, better hardware.
Oh yeah,
Do you think you have to have an NVIDIA GPU for this?
I think that's the straight line way to do it because it just works with everything, right? I mean, if you want to run a llama, whatever it is, and you want it to run effectively, everything you want it to work, yeah, I mean, I think it is the best choice, but
It's sad because this new Mac Mini that I got has a lot of RAM directly accessible to an AI model. Has the AI stuff, but it doesn't do CUDA cores, and all this AI stuff needs CUDA.
well, a lot of those open source APIs do work on Macs because those guys are all using Macs, right? So that's another probably reasonable choice. I mean, it might not have
Well, that one should be the inside server. Richard, let me know when you set up
a server farm. Your next statement will be every home needs a server farm, and every server has to have a very specific use case.
I've got a cluster in the basement.
So you have a DMZ, and that has maybe 3 servers.
And Richard's going, I just shut down my Exchange server. What
He's
he's
not
not
going
doing
to
to
like
De-wrapped my life, and I'm happier for
Yeah,
it.
he's the best thing. Because I actually have that in my house.
Maybe we're crazy. Richard, you can talk me off the ledge anytime.
I'm with you. Every home does need a server, but at least for home automation.
I have the AJ Green you told me to get out of the system. I love it.
And then the file store, which is your Synology, like those are the files. And just because the LLM workload is so heavy right now, you need a dedicated machine for that. It's not what you need.
And a public-facing
Yeah, you see laptops that used to have 2 RAM slots, maybe. It's all software.
Well, and it used to be saving costs, but then they actually got performance benefits from it as well. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
Because odds are you're
thinner, lighter, less heat. It's, you know,
Yes, there's a bunch of good things about that. And
And
there's interesting solutions.
I have a 128 gigabyte SKU.
yeah, but you have to,
That's it.
one, you buy it at purchase time, right?
Yes, back around Memorial Day.
Maybe that's where people got
But
it.
I am doing well, and I'm not yet ready to eat big green wiener yet.
All right.
Anyway, yes, I do want to bring people up to date and let them know how things are going.
All right, good. Where to begin?
Well, I'm going to talk to you about kind of where we left off in Nevada.
All right.
I think that would be. Is it Nevada or Nevada?
Well, I say Nevada.
I wonder about that sometimes.
Just try either one. We'll answer it. Whatever.
Anyway, the one in your state here,
Yes.
I told you that we had lowered a bucket of ice into the hole there in your state. And that...
You don't want to tell us any more about where the hole is.
I think that might end up coming out here, or I think people will be able to discern where it is in your state.
All right.
I think a lot of people have got a very good idea, and I'm going to tell you that the location where the hole is at has been under helicopter surveillance almost, I don't mean constantly, like 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But there have been flyovers of that area. When I was at that level, that was my first contact with you. That's, when I reached that point there, that's when I said, I better reveal what I'm doing to the audience to find out what am I dealing with. And so this whole thing started. So let me tell you about what had occurred. We lowered that bucket of ice, we pulled it up there, we had a bucket of ice up there at the surface. That bucket of ice at the surface had melted completely. We brought up the bucket of ice from a depth of, I believe it was 1,000 feet. We lowered it down 1,000 feet. We brought it up, the ice was unmelted. So we stuck it on the campfire there in the metal bucket to see if we could melt it. Well, the thing caught fire, as I said.
The ice
Caught fire, was burning. And it's a kind of a strange fire, but it generated heat. I don't know. I still, well, I might be getting ahead of myself, but it must have been some sort of chemical reaction. Somehow the water was changed.
Yeah.
We actually touched the ice, and it felt like ice, but not cold. And when we came, that's when we took it, before we set it on fire.
Like ice, but not cold.
Right. I mean, it wasn't cold. So what's going on here? So we lowered it, put it in the bucket. Well, I told you that it caught fire, and eventually one of these bad fellows took the bucket of ice, set it in the back of his pickup truck, drove off, took it home, and stuck it inside of his wood stove.
Had the ice been put out?
No, it was just kind of,
he had it in his vehicle. Was it?
He just had it in the back of his pickup
Trying
truck.
to tell me it was burning while it was in there?
Yeah. But he wanted to take it home and put it in his wood stove so to keep him warm.
Well, so you did that.
Well, the Basque are kind of crazy people. Are you in any way familiar with the Basque in general, or specific, or just kind of absorbed by this stove? That's I think that's the best picture right now.
Now that's weird.
That is strange.
Of course, this is already really weird. We've got ice that's burning eternally so far, and that's I can picture it.
Okay, so I want to be able to, because this is what I've been told, but I have absolute belief that the person that told me this, and this goes on. Anyway, the stove's out there and it's producing heat. This guy is real happy, and even though he's like real thirsty and really dry. And then one day this guy comes home. He goes out and does this thing, and comes home and he notices that the stove had crashed through the hearth and through the floorboards of his cabin.
What?
It just went right down. It just broke. I mean, it was kind of a flimsy cabin, but it was able to support the weight of his wood stove. And
so now a stove with this eternally burning ice is now up through the floor.
It's in the ground. It's actually on like the dirt. Maybe it fell like about a foot into the ground at that point.
I wonder if this thing is going back from whence it came.
Well, that's what I want to know, and we're going to continue along with this here. But anyway, the stove is sitting down there. Now this guy, sometimes I wonder about these guys, but he's not too bright. What he does is he patches up the stove pipe.
Yeah.
And so it connects to the Appalachian, with the flu, all that stuff there.
Yeah.
And he's kind of living in this cabin with this stove.
You mean he's still using the stove?
Yeah.
He just extended the pipe?
Yes, that's exactly what he did. He just kind of lowered it down there, and as far as I could tell, though, it doesn't give off any gas or any smoke, no smoke or anything.
He made no attempts to bring it back up to fix the floor and do it right, huh?
No, he didn't. He continues to live with it, and basically, about, I don't know, a week, maybe 2 weeks later, comes fall. And the entire cabin has collapsed. What? Around it. The whole thing. The whole thing. Everything just collapsed around it. In fact, all there is around the site of the cabin is piles of wood dust. Wood dust. Wood dust. Wood dust. So in other words, his cabin disintegrated. It basically looked like all of the moisture that was in kind of like held fast like glue to the structure and everything that was in the hole. Yeah. So eventually they were able to get this thing out of the ground and hoist it up, and they were using more than one crane at this point. Now, I don't know a lot about cranes, but usually they can pick up a lot of stuff. They had several cranes working on getting this thing out, so it must have weighed some huge amount. Talking like... Well, okay, so the weight alone would have broken it through the floor. The weight certainly would initially, yeah. Wouldn't have dug the hole, though. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, and so they finally get this thing out of the ground using multiple cranes, the biggest ones they can get. This guy said these things were like monster cranes. They get it up and they load it onto the biggest truck this guy had ever seen in his life. Yeah. This was bigger than big, and they haul that thing away. It is like gone, there it is over there, and so they just took the stove away. I don't know if he got a good look to see what the stove looked like, but they loaded whatever was in there, detached the chains from the hooks and stuff, and trucked this thing off. All of this, in essence, just to get this burning ice, really? That's what they got. But this guy here, as soon as I talked to him, he knew something was going down, and something had gotten, my impression was it got like out of control. And all of this just from something you lowered into the hole here in Nevada. That is correct. All right. Hold it right where you are, Mel. We're going to break here. We'll be right back. Currents.
Make it less than easy to take and send back good data from the planet Mars.
But, G. Richard, that would mean that this agency agencies are sabotaging our other agencies.
Why not?
Well...
Ever heard of inter-service rivalry?
Well, yes.
Which is a euphemism back before Eisenhower created NASA?
Yes, but destroying your own satellite seems to be a little beyond that.
Well, but you're dealing with a small cabal. You're dealing with a rogue group. Remember what Edmund Mitchell said?
Well, he said a lot. Which one? Which statement?
About there being two governments. Yeah. And this rogue group has taken over this franchise and is operating without constitutional control. That's not me saying it, that's Ed Mitchell.
All right, and you consider this scenario yourself to be more likely than the alien
Because of all the political hanky-panky we have discovered in researching top to bottom our space program.
Yeah, I know I'm naive, but I just don't think we're knocking down.
I didn't say we. Remember,
we collectively, including the cabal. Yeah.
You don't think that could happen to keep secrets?
I just think it unlikely.
Why? Well, then there are other possibilities. Aliens.
Well, that's easier. That's easier for me.
Well, really?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's easier to think that good old humans who are doing what humans do, which is to basically screw other humans, when and if if they can, particularly if power or control or money or, the human future is at stake, are more than likely to have tried to keep these secrets. And of course, what you have is a balance between the statistics. They're not able to do it every time because it requires stealth, depth, being in the right place at the right time to sabotage the right thing. But when you look at statistically how bizarre it is that we've had such poor luck, we as a planet, we as a species,
All right.
with Mars.
Well, it doesn't matter that you and I
But every
disagree
other place,
on
we're
what's
doing
doing
great.
it. Yeah, it doesn't matter that we disagree on what's doing it. Let's look ahead to see what the mission might be if whoever it is keeps their hands off. What
Well,
have
this
we
is a
done?
serious consideration because we now have,
Yeah, I know.
for the first time,
What?
we have a competition between the United States, between NASA, and one other major player, the Europeans. And as I said on the coast the other night, I really have high hopes, for a whole bunch of reasons, that we're going to get some extraordinary, real new information. Because the Europeans, frankly, hate George Bush's guts. And they will do anything to embarrass those that know that are part of this administration.
But the cabal would know that, Richard.
But maybe the went to NASA television because I thought the Europeans were going to be round the clock television on their
I was going to ask that, but are we going to be able to get into...
NASA television did not carry any of the Russian, of the European ceremony.
Oh, how small.
No, this is good news. This is very good.
Why?
Because it means there's a healthy competition. It means they're currently in European guts. Which means we've got a prayer here of getting honest information for the first time. A competitive vision.
Yeah, I know that, but the English
has that stunning photograph of the eastern side of the face lit pre-dawn from Odyssey a few months ago. You'll click on that. When you get there, you'll see a lot of people doing this simultaneously. They can hear their keyboard.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
That's why you have to be quick. Anyway, the key thing is in that article, at the end of the piece, I made a specific call to the head of the European mission camera, the German doctor Gerhard Dukel, who is who is the principal investigator of the high-resolution camera. Dr. Dukel has spent a lot of time thinking, studying, wanting to do, incredible photography of Mars, and his camera flew on the Mars 96 mission, which was the big, huge Russian mission that dove into the Pacific just off Chile.
And I'm finally on your page. Where do you want me to go?
Okay, scroll down on the left-hand side of the main page. By the way, this is our new look from Enterprise. CMBA graphics. What do you think?
Oh, very nice.
We've done a really terrific job. We're going to have some surprises when I talk to you on.
All right, take me left-hand side.
Scroll down past the conference box, which we'll talk about. We haven't really had shows since we did the Godman TV conference.
Okay, concentrate. Okay, here we are. The light finally dawns at sight.
Exactly. Click on that note. Are you on a dial-up or a...
No, I'm on a very fast. But, we sent everybody there, Richard, so it's slow to the snail's crawl. I expected this. So, not everybody has to
All right, at the very bottom, I put in a link. This article is the analysis of this astonishing, Mars Odyssey image, which shows the eastern side of the face to be polished like a brass, Martian helmet.
Connection refused. Forget it. I'm not going to make it.
All right, well, at some point we'll know that, though. Anyway, at the bottom of the article, I've laid out Professor Newcomb's email address, mailing address, phone numbers, the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
And over coast, I basically said to this audience, please let him know when his camera gets in orbit on Christmas night, begin taking pictures in polar orbit. Please re-photograph Snowdia at this lighting, because unlike the American cameras, which are currently orbiting Mars on Surveyor and Odyssey, he has a color stereo camera that he spent the last 10 years developing, which can give us 2-meter resolution in color and stereo art.
Do you want 2-meter resolution? I mean, that's, well, I guess you do.
2 meter is 10 times better than the 20 meter of Odyssey.
So we could determine a number of the artifacts we've seen in the past are really in the gray box because we just can't find
We don't have enough resolution, and more importantly, they haven't taken, the images have not been taken at the right time of day.
Newcomb presently does not have a plan to photograph civilians.
Yes, he does.
Oh, he does.
As of December 3rd, to the BBC, we'll be putting the link up between now and night after Christmas. He said that he has received, basically because of my going on the show and asking people to let him know what they want, he has received a ton of email from all over the world. I understand, all over the world. That's the reach of this audience. And the message is, please take some images of Snowdia. NASA is lying to us. And he said he will be taking the images. Now what I intend to do is to post a second article, which specifically lays out the kind of images that we need. Because not all images are created equal. If you take images at the wrong time of day, as NASA will take it, you won't be able to differentiate artificial things from rocks. Only because the Odyssey in this article that you can't get to, that we discussed before, that stunning flowing ribbon side of the face, every dawn.
Actually, I recall.
Yep. It's only because of that unique lighting that we have unequivocal proof. I mean, as you know, and I know, we discussed the need for what I call the smoking gun shot for the last, how long have I been doing the show? 10 years?
Long time.
Well, I believe articles that reflected in their emails to Dr. Newcomb, not just good enough to say you're going to take the pictures, they've got to be the right kind of pictures, the right kind of analysis.
And if they are, how big a chance do you really think there is we will get the quote smoking gun?
Because Newcomb, BBC, received a ton of emails from all over the world, and NASA is lying.
Yes, I know.
Think politically what that means.
Well, I'm trying to think scientifically whether you
No. Forget the science. Think
whether
politically.
you will actually get the smoking gun. Something that will say to everybody, holy whatever.
Why do I want, and by the way, remember I'll be talking to you about Dr. James Garvin, who was the NASA guy at headquarters Peter Thurston and I have an interesting conversation with about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Okay. It was out in the open because we called up and said, let's have a conversation. Peter and I had this conference call. One of the things, and again, it's like you get this feeling that even the good guys in NASA are cuckolds, that they can't really tell it straight. They have to tell it between the lines because of political reasoning. He, at that time, strongly urged me to go to Newton, to the Europeans, and he extolled the virtues of this camera. Given the fact that Newton has now said in writing that he is being told NASA's lying, I mean, think about this. This is a very small family. This is like the Cosa Nostra or the Mafia. Why would one Mafia Don basically say that the other Mafia Dons are covering things up if he's politically part of the same group? To me, politically, between the lines, this is kind of knowledge.
Well, I don't know that he's, based on what you said, that he's saying he believes that. He's
Why would
merely that, well, he's acknowledging.
Why wouldn't he just say people have asked me to take the pictures and I will, period?
He is acknowledging that he's getting a more details precisely.
Which you say
From this
NASA
article.
has been lying. He didn't have to add that. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't have to add that.
No, that's the message to us, to this audience. I'm listening to you. I'm going to take images and we will then speak.
It would seem to be a message back to this audience.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now, the other good news is when I went last night to try to find the schedule on the NASA television page, and found that they are totally ignoring Mars Express arrival and the Beagle 2 landing. Now, the reason this is weird is because every time one of the Russians sends a spacecraft up to Romney to the space station, NASA covers it. Every time the Japanese have done something in space, NASA covers it.
Why do you think that the sudden feeling of competitiveness because it is European?
Well, the other weird thing is there's a lot of U.S. guys from UCL and universities who were part of the Mars Express science team. There's a tremendous cooperation that's being required between JPL, for instance, and the Mars's radar, which is this long-wave radar that can bounce radio pulses off Mars and look for underground water. They're going to find, by the way, the underground cities that way, but that's another discussion for the night of the 26th. The point is, you've got a lot of NASA people on the Mars Express team, and NASA headquarters is not relaying television. It's not like they have to send a crew. All they have to do is to take a satellite feed and put it out over NASA Select.
Well, if what you believe is true, then maybe our chariot has, like in the old days, you know, Spartacus, maybe our chariot has one of those spike things on the wheels, and we'll go over and we'll zap the European thing and shred it.
Well, the fortunate thing is roll landing in different places, and Mars Express was in a unique orbit, and we got to by our guys. So the bottom line is we have desperately used the space program for the last 20, 30 years. Competition. Competition is the hallmark of this society, right?
That's true.
Finally seem to have real competition, and Newcomb's message to the BBC, to us, to this audience, I have heard you, particularly when he included the part about NASA's lying.
Yes, it's clear.
Very, very positive news.
Well, yes. And again, I say, from a scientific point of view, if we get pictures you want, what do you think the chances are of a smoking gun?
Newcomb's camera is a color stereo camera.
Yes, got it.
Meaning that it can take multiple images in different wavelengths in a band.
Yes.
It gives you analysis. It also has that for Arthur Clarke and Stanley Kubrick
Yes.
was more between the lines messages.
Right.
You don't like this message. You think you like this?
Well, I do, Richard.
Look at Washington. Look at any cable television analysis of what's going on in Washington.
Occam's sharp, man.
Nothing is simple in politics.
Well, Occam's...
That's it. That's when you're dealing with pure science. We have not been dealing with pure science in the space realm since the beginning of the space realm.
Yeah, I will. I
Obviously.
argue with that.
Going back to Brookings, your favorite piece of paper. Yeah. You believe that is right. In fact, that's the script they've been following, right?
That's correct.
Well, if they are following that script, at some point you have to get pregnant. Maybe they have delegated Europeans to be the ones who get us pregnant.
Well, we don't have to have quadruplets here.
Just need one good image, and we'll discuss some new images which have come in, which we will have posted by next week, of the DNM pyramid. And they show, get this, roads and Sidonia leading into the DNM. 3 ways.
I'm willing to give it a little even better than 50-50 that there once was a civilization on Mars. Really, I am, Richard. I kind of lean that way. And you've had a lot to do with that, with what you've shown me. But, again, the realization that there once was a civilization there and isn't now is... It's not like aliens walking down the plank in Washington, but it's a biggie, and it will cause much consternation in the Brookings tradition. Believe me, plenty.
Well, this is where we come to the conference, and we have not had a chance to discuss what happened in Wisconsin. And so on Friday night following Christmas, or the 12 days, I will give a reprise of some of the highlights of the conference that happened between myself, Mike Heiser, and Ross.
Yes. Do you think we'll be discussing on that night astounding new evidence?
Well, we have these new images from Mars Surveyor, the close-ups of the DNM, which are pretty staggering. They're really staggering. They show it to be the archaeology that I always said it was back when I wrote Monuments, first edition, back in 1987. We can see cellular structure. As I said, we can see the freeways leading into the entrances.
Well, I agree they're astounding. I agree even that I've seen cities beneath the ground. I mean, you and I have been through some fantastic photographs together, but other people don't see that. And so, again, I'm asking, will we see something that cannot be reasonably debated, that will be so strong it will prove?
Well, you know what this reminds me of? It's kind of like the Lacey Peterson situation. I mean, you're well familiar, I'm sure, with the trial of,
I am.
in California.
Yes, of course.
It's gone on for a year and all that.
Yes.
And what they have in the way of real smoking gun evidence turns out to be one hair in a pliers on his boat that they claim with one DNA test may be her hair. And the rest of it is total circumstantial evidence. And yet they are putting this man on trial for murdering his wife. Well, the case for Sidonia is built on similar pieces of disparate circumstantial evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Any one piece you can blow away. But when you take the gestalt of all the pieces...
This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
You know, I think Ross actually went to the movie, watched the movie Contact, so he could say, want to take a ride just right? And he did. In the exact tonal qualities in the voice when that was asked in the movie, which is where I plucked that from to have Ross use it. Same tonal qualities are there, so I have a feeling this time when he recorded it, he went back and got it exactly right. Coming up in a moment is James Van Praagh. Now, James is a #1 New York Times bestselling author. Arguably, listen carefully to this part, the most famous and successful medium of our time. James is world-renowned for his extraordinary ability to communicate with the spirits of men, women, and animals who have died. He's been the host of his own television show, Beyond, a featured guest on Oprah Winfrey, Larry King, you know, the big circuit.
Lots of radio and TV over the past 20 years. He's spoken to thousands of people through his lectures, demonstrations, and spiritual tours, and here on Coast to Coast, millions at a time. You know, the big question is what James can do and others, the real McCoy, can you really communicate with the dead, or is something else at work here? I mean, that really is the question. Can we really, really, really communicate with the spirits of the dead? By the way, folks, on the 28th of December, Sunday, I'm going to hold it open lines, and then the 31st, yes, I'm going to get to do that program, both the 28th and the 31st, I will take predictions for the coming year. Now, this is no small matter. We've been doing this yearly as a yearly event, better than a decade, I guess. And we lock the predictions away in the family vault, hold them for a year, bring them out, and then discuss the previous year's predictions, which I must say, by the way, in this case, were rather pathetic in terms of their accuracy, but hopefully we'll do better this year. So I want you to concentrate between now and then on what you want your prediction to be. Give serious thought to it. Let your mind go blank, and blank. A more serious level of difficulty for some than others. And then try and pluck from that energy so you will be an ironclad prediction for the year 2004. Then we'll have 2 days for you to get it in. So I want to let you know what you're doing that. Tonight, James von Prague, and here we go. James, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Art. Thanks for having me back again.
Yeah, just great to have you. Where are you physically in the world now?
I am physically in Hollywood, California.
You're in Hollywood.
Hollywood, California.
Okay. All right, James. You know, the number one thing I think for me is I really want to know if it's true. Everybody wants to know if it's true, if you can communicate with dead spirits, be they human or animal. If I were to say, James, give me the best evidence that you've had since you've been doing this, and that's a lot, what would you tell me to make me believe?
Well, it's very much a personal experience. So what I've told you, sure, and that's a legitimate charge for them in their belief system. That's the way they think, and that's fine. But when there are so many details which they can't easily. I mean, how could someone have known about a chipped tooth? Or how would someone know about a tattoo?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, if you were to try and disabuse me of the notion that you got information about somebody ahead of time,
yeah,
how do you do that?
Good question. The Skeptic Society once said that I was wired to every single house in the nation, which was pretty good, because I'm better than the CIA on that one. And I thought that was a compliment, actually.
Well, the skeptic people, I have this award up there from the skeptic people, and they're cool. But I mean, they're all the way over on the other side, so they're as hard to believe as the other, and so.
And you know what, Art, it's interesting because with some skeptics, I believe, I think there are many levels, and I believe everybody has a right to believe the way they believe. But there are certain things, no matter what you do, you cannot change their way of thinking. And it's almost like teaching algebra to a third grader. I mean, certain things are beyond their belief system, and that's something which no one can change. Even if, let's say a spirit materialized in the room, they would have a hard time.
Okay, that'd be a hardcore religious type person. That would not be me, James. I'm the kind of person that you can convince with reasonable proof. And so, with a lot of what you've done, particularly when you've been tested, what kind of careful controls have been put in place for the testing?
Well, it would be that there would be someone who, doing the performance test, would be aware of the person that I'm doing the reading for, and they would know certain details, and they would be separate from either a different room or different location, even across the country.
Have you been subjected to that kind of test?
Different types of tests like that I have.
In other words, universities come to you, that kind of thing?
Not often, but I've had some universities at one point, they also had private testing done. I've also had testing done with different producers from shows who were wondering how they could.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Sure. Because it's a hard thing to believe, not to be that experience. And the thing is, Art, also, I was skeptical when sort of anything. I was very skeptical of the whole thing. Until it got to the point where I could no longer course, I had to do for something, for human beings, it's a spiritual thing, and now, of course, I realize what it is. But really, I'd say around my 11, 12 years of age, the vision stopped, the feeling stopped. Went about a regular life, normal life, until my early 20s. When I myself went to a medium, a lady, a friend of mine, dragged me to see this man who that way. And we see it as one big force, of living force. And we just take on these traits of animal and human. We come back on the physical level. And when we do the physical level of the spiritual dimension, or the physical dimension, perhaps we're all that same thing. So why wouldn't I be able to communicate with what I am? But it's part of who I am. I'm part of that it is.
All right. Again, so there's a lot of your work that would lump into a lot of what the Bible says. I mean, the Bible, for example, doesn't even think you ought to be able to communicate with the dead because the dead are in some sort of, I don't know, in limbo, incapacity until all are risen, right?
Yeah.
So you ought not be able to talk.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right. So how do you handle people who deal with biblical passage?
Well, that's number one. I say, I believe first of all, the Bible is man-made and man-created. It's a wonderful fictional story. I think it's a wonderful story of different things. I think the Bible, in its purest form, never was created before man got a hold of it, destroyed it, put his own ego involved in it.
Not necessarily the literal Word of God.
Right, not necessarily. I think it's more from the Word of God. Man got his role as well. But I do believe that there's a wonderful, wonderful gem in the Bible. I just think the wonderful stories and truth is in the Bible. If you can sit through a crap and find truth, I do believe that. Jesus was an incredible teacher. He was able to hear the Spirit. He realized he could actually change the molecular
I
structure.
believe Jesus was a medium and a very powerful one. You believe he was the Son of God.
Yes.
You do.
And I think you are, and I am, and everybody. I think we're all part of that God.
All right, but no more a direct genetic match.
I think man needs to put that personification up there, and I think that's really for control, and I think religion is the way they control the man. And this is their way of doing it. Many religions, the number one way people would die in the world is God. Religion. Many religions control the man.
They certainly did.
People were given the truth. People were like, they themselves have responsibility that they have created their world based on their thoughts, words, and deeds. me as much as their personality, as their force as possible. So of course I will many times pick up traits of their personality traits. I'll pick up dialects. I'll pick up phrases they would say. Their personality, their behavior comes through many times. It's like a mind meld, very much that way. And you know, trance is that way. With a consciousness, when you let go and release, they can really, when the trance is releasing, letting them come through you, it's your consciousness. It's very much that way. Even a mental medium like myself, I will somewhat, and I noticed at the very beginning when I first started developing my abilities, I noticed when I sat in my meditation circle that there was a part of me, James, which kind of stepped aside, and I felt another energy come near me. And I still feel that. Even children, it's amazing when little kids come through. And, I've had studies done when my faith changes, the actual faith change.
Yes.
And which will say, my God, you look just like her, look just like him.
Does the process take a great deal from you? I mean, is it energy draining? Is it invigorating? How do you feel?
Well, it's both, because number one, if you have the spirit, it's a wonderful communicator, and they know exactly how to do it precisely, where they don't drain you too much. They come in and they can do it, use the energy, and then they're out there. If it's someone who is not very good at this, you have to use more of your energy to sustain themselves, so that you get them. I listen more, I speak more.
All right. Do you think, without naming any names, that these other mediums that we just sort of spoke of really have the talent, and your accusation is that they just may not be using it in, I don't know, the best way or most evolved way, or do you think there's frauds?
Oh, I think there are frauds in every single field, not only mediumship, but I think every field out there are frauds.
Well, in mediumship, what do you think the percentage of frauds might be?
It's hard to say. I mean, the people that are out there with psychic stores, I really am leery of all those. I really am. I'm sorry to say, but I'm very leery. Tarot card readers out there with
The fully licensed psychic guaranteed to know what the future holds.
Yeah. I'm very leery, very skeptical. There are some people that, you know, without naming names, there are people out there that I know that are on television that are have an ability, but they don't have any bit of passion for the work they do, or passion for the people they're working for, and just that's the way they are. That's just the way they are.
So then you admit there's a high percentage of people in the psychic world who perhaps, what's the right word?
I think, well, they have ability, but maybe they don't use it correctly. Or maybe the motivation is different. That's maybe the best way to put it. The motivation might be a little different. And you know what? That's different for each person. You know, everyone. You know, it depends. What's your motivation? Why are you doing this with us? That's just wrong, as far as I'm concerned. My opinion.
So you're in this.
I'm here to service, and I believe if you do the right thing, the universe takes care of it. I believe that no matter what job you're in, no matter what you do in life, if you put out good, you get good back. And I think that's the universe calls it back. Back to get back. Karma, whatever you want to call it. I do believe that's energy. I think I'm looking proof. I've experienced it. I've experienced it with miracles in my day, every day in my life. I really have.
Well, clearly you help people, and even the psychics, perhaps some of the ones you're talking about, they also seem to help the living, because the living get some information that for them is convincing, and they become totally believers that they just communicated with their relative.
They have,
and they're comforted, and it certainly helps the living. I don't think there's a question about that.
That's right. There are mediums of the course, very excellent mediums out there who use that there are.
How frequently are you able to discern, since time means nothing to those who passed on? How frequently are you able to discern from them what the future might be?
Oh, very, very good question. Again, they're not in the human consciousness today.
Right.
There's a three-dimensional world, and like you said, they're not in the time that we measure time with.
That's it.
Right?
Right. And hold on, we're at the top of the hour, and that's a great place to hang everything.